Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 50 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, investment analyst, economist, and venture capitalist, Morty Davis is Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical political, economic, and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion of the week's top news headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back. It must be Wednesday, 6:30, because I'm back with my favorite people in the world, my cohorts for this podcast. I'm talking about you all. I love you. You add so much to my life, to my wisdom, even when you strongly disagree, and sometimes I get a little upset, but you make me rethink everything that I believe so firmly, and it enhances my growth, my intellectual growth, my knowledge. You're fabulous. So keep it up. Anyway, we're back again with the weekly, I like to say news, but it's the weekly headaches, because the news is all headaches. It's the good news is not news. It never makes the front page. Tell me one thing that, I guess if we came up with a cancer cure, that would make the front page. But short of that, we most of what we learn is murders, killings, even good things. The guy saves a bunch of people on the subway, and he literally saves lives probably, and they put him in before the judge and a jury to accuse him of murder. I mean, even good news, which I would think the guy should get a medal. More people should do that when somebody threatens the lives of innocent people, helpless people. One woman there with a baby on a subway train was told, I don't mind going to Rikers Island, to jail, anything. If I have to, I'm going to kill that kid. So, and this guy, notwithstanding that, defended all the people on that in that car of the train. So, I hate to be the vehicle for bad news, but that's what civics are. That's what news is. That's what politics is. So we're back at that stage. So before we get into the depressing stuff, which is the news, I want to recommend that you get yourself a copy of the book that you see on the screen in front of you, Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back. It's going to be the number one bestseller ultimately on happiness, because it's so great. I get such compliments all the time. Not one negative feedback, even though I offer to not only to refund the purchase price of anybody who buys it or even receives it as a gift, if they can show me what was paid, I'll not only give them back their purchase price, but I'll give them back double the purchase price, because I have so much confidence based on my experience, not for any other reason. Everybody that's ever called practically has thanked me. The head of major corporations send it out now as their number one gift for Christmas, for Hanukkah, for birthdays. They say they've gotten such positive feedbacks, unlike other gifts that they send out, that they sometimes get a thank you call. In most cases, they don't even get that. But after the first call, they never referred to the gift again. And he says, in this case, they tell me, in this case, 4 weeks after they get it, and 8 weeks after they get it, and 6 months after they get it, they're still referring to, they're getting calls from the people they sent it to, referring to the book and saying how much they enjoy it, how much, and they remember who gave it to them. Most of the other gifts, they don't even remember who sent it to them. So I'm so pleased about that, not because of the sales of the book, because I'm not keeping a penny of that money. Every penny that comes in from the sales of the book goes to charity. So I'm telling you, there's never been a deal like that where if you purchase this happiness guaranteed or your misery back, the subtitle, the lower part of the page says, how to be happy no matter what. And that's what this book does. It tells you jokes every day. It's 365 pages, one page for every day of the year. It encourages you about life. It gives you ideas on how to enhance your own happiness and the happiness of those around you. So before we start the program and get you depressed, first I want to thank Len Carter for joining me again, because I get so many compliments about him, not about me, but about him, about how much they like what he adds and what he says and so forth.
They'll get over it.
He really is terrific. So that's why I have him back all the time. I have a lot of other people that want to join the program and are delighted to come on and ask me if they could come on. But Len does such a terrific job. So I'm delighted to Len that you agreed to join us one more time.
Always a pleasure.
So before I start with the depressing news and the depressing events and politics and economics that are the headlines and the murders and whatnot, the head of a health insurance company was murdered this week by a young man, a very seemingly lovely young man. He comes from a great family, they say. He's a graduate of an Ivy League school. I think it's Penn University. He's got a master's in engineering. I mean, an outstanding young man. And he's really so angry at the insurance companies for denying coverage that it brought him to the point where he killed the most successful, the chief executive of the most successful, the most profitable health insurance company in the whole world, who, like almost all the other health insurance companies, the first thing they do is when you ask for your money to cover the event, the first position is a denial. We don't cover that. That your insurance, you're always covered till you make a demand, and then you find out you're covered for everything that you're not asking for. But the one thing you're asking for coverage that you thought all along you had the security, you find out they deny you. And in most cases, most people are passive. Most of us are. And when we're denied, we just crawl back into under our pillow or under our blanket and live with that decision of the insurance company. So it's really, it was almost justifiable homicide, although it's never right to kill somebody, no matter what the excuse. But in a way, instead of, anyway, I assure you he won't go to jail. In my view, he'll very much like the guy, the young man who shot Ronald Reagan, never went to jail. He was deemed to be mentally disturbed. He went to a mental institution, an insanity institution, and after maybe a quarter of a century, he was released and he's free to live his life. So this young man, I don't believe, so far he hasn't even hired a lawyer, but I don't believe he'll go to jail because he definitely has claims that it was nothing in terms of a random killing or to gain money or robbery or anything. It was just, he was so angry that the insurance companies mistreat their policyholders and refused to pay, that he felt that this company, United Health, is the wealthiest, most successful health insurance company in the world. Last month, they did $9 billion in revenues with enormous profits. So my suggestion now to add to figure out how to make you happier, and every page in the book will tell you how to do it. But to give you one brief insight, the best way to be happy, the best way, and to assure your happiness increases, is to count your blessings, is to realize at this moment how lucky you are. Why do I say that? Well, you can see, right? I hope. You can feel, your fingers work, your eyes work, hopefully your voice works, your innards, your plumbing works. So you should be jumping up and down out of appreciation that you're in such good shape, that all of these things that are so crucial are functioning for you. And the best way to realize that is somebody that suddenly is leading a decent life, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, you have stage 4 cancer. Now, nothing changed. An hour before, they were the same as they are now, but they realize their whole life changed, or they're going to be deprived of the view of their eyes, or their ability to smell or taste, or all the things that they have right now. And when they're the happiest, when they're treated, and at the end of the treatment, the doctor tells them, you're free of the cancer. You're cancer free. All of a sudden, they're flying. My God, they're so happy to get back to square one where they are right now, and not happy at all about their life. So when you count what you have and don't take it for granted, and only appreciate it once you realize it's gone and how valuable it is. And also the fact that God told us, and that's the truth. God doesn't lie to us every day or ever, I guess, suspect. He's like a father. He doesn't guarantee us that we won't have trouble, aggravation, the reality of life. But once you have problems, you can lean on him, and he tells you can lean on me. I'll be there for you, and helps you overcome the difficulties you're living through. So just think of it that way. If you get back to where you are now, after you've had some disaster, and you realize, wow, before I had this disaster, I had everything going for me. My eyes worked, my fingers worked, my intestines worked, everything worked. And now the doctor said they're all going to be back in working condition because we successfully rid your body and your mind of this challenge, of this burden, of this tragic intrusion in your life. And you realize, and he tells you you're cancer free, and as far as we can see, you'll never have a recurrence. You're all of a sudden walking on air. So just think of it that way. Write down all the assets you have. Now, right now, you don't think of them as assets. You take them for granted. The fact that your eyes work, you don't say, oh my God, I'm so lucky. Or the fact that my intestines work and I can use my plumbing, my body delivers every day. You take it for granted, but suddenly, if they say you have cancer and you won't be able to count on your intestines to deliver the functions that it's designed to deliver, you're miserable. And then once they tell you it's gone, when they talk to these people that recover, it's like they discovered a new life. I never realized, appreciated life as I do now. So appreciate it before you go through the hell. Okay? That's my advice to you. It's simple. And if you buy the book and you're not happy with it, you don't find it's a great help to you, send back the purchase slip and tell me you don't like it. You think it was worth the effort or the purchase price or your time. Send me the purchase slip and I'll send you back not only your purchase price but double. So it's a no loser, and you still can keep the book and all the wisdom of 365 days of great advice. God bless you. I love you. My role in life, that I see it as my role, is to follow God's directive to us to change the world and make it a better place for the Jewish people and indeed for all humanity. And I try to do that every day. By writing this book, I didn't do it for the income. I don't keep one penny of the sales. I do it in the hope that I will make one person happy, or 10 persons happy, and hopefully thousands and even millions happier. So you keep the book, you get more than you paid for it, and I don't know of a better deal than that. So without further ado, let's get to the headaches of the week, or the news of the week. Len, you want to?
Yeah,
Len always makes up a list that bothers him and bothers me
more.
as well, probably more, right, of the events of the evening, of the day, of the week, and what emanates from those events, what prospects, what those events foresee. So without further ado, let's get on.
So you mentioned the murder of Brian Thompson, the head of United Healthcare. So why don't we start there? In less than a week, we saw a premeditated, calculated murder, an escape, and a capture. So you said before you think he won't
serve jail.
Won't serve any jail by reason of insanity.
And he won't get electrocuted or.
Yeah, well, that you'd have to get the death penalty.
Yeah, he won't get the death penalty. Right.
But the question is, I mean,
even though they say it was murder, that he committed murder.
Murder one, premeditated
He
murder.
won't go to jail.
I'm not so sure because
You're
I
not
think
so sure about what?
that he won't go to jail.
I'm sure he won't go to jail because
You think
The-
because of
well, even-
acquittal or because of reason of insanity?
even more than the killing of or the shooting of Ronald Reagan, which was international news, more than this was
Right.
very,
the difference
very
was when
newsy.
John Hinckley shot Reagan,
Right.
he had a history of mental issue. So his attorneys were able to make a case for insanity. If I kill someone,
If you did, you should go get the death penalty,
it
or you
depends.
should go to
If
jail.
I kill someone and say
But you
I'm
have no
crazy,
history.
right? Neither does
You
he.
can't say no. There's a lot of evidence.
Not mental illness.
Yes. All his writings are.
That doesn't mean that's not mental illness. Insanity to be able to stand trial, to be capable of standing trial, you have to understand the difference between right and wrong. You have to know what you did was wrong. And some of the notes he wrote said, "I'm sorry for the, any of that's going to happen." So I think that demonstrates his awareness that what he was doing was wrong.
Usually, when they go to jail or they go get death sentence, it's because they did something out of viciousness, out of
this is pretty
out of
vicious.
anger. No,
This is pretty vicious.
but
and it doesn't have to be. You could, a husband kills his wife.
I'm saying I
premeditated.
believe
that's
he's got every reason to. His lawyers will have every reason to make the case that his
innocent by reason of insanity is not an easy defense. It doesn't happen that often,
easy defense.
and it's not easy to prove. In his case so far, I'm not an attorney or a mental healthcare professional by any stretch, but from what I've seen, it looks like he was angry. It looks like he did what he did because he was angry. He wrote the thing on the shell casings, to make a point. He had some back pain.
Okay.
We don't know if that was because he was denied, but we'll see.
That's the reason this is a good show, because you have one opinion, I have the other. I'm absolutely sure that he will never serve jail time, because there's enough in his background.
I think there may be a better case for an acquittal, because he could argue that wasn't me. That wasn't me. You did because no,
got enough evidence.
Not at the point where he shot. You didn't see his face when he shot.
No, but
that's the crime.
No, but what they caught him with the gun.
No, they have to see the ballistics, but
the ballistics show it's the same gun.
But it's not my gun. It's an unregistered gun.
He was carrying it.
I know, but it's not.
It's unregistered.
It's a ghost gun.
A ghost gun, yeah.
I mean, this is the evidence, but it's not like there were no witnesses.
They said they should lock up the ghost, but not him.
Right. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion on ghost guns, because from what you hear, it's just incredible and it's legal. It used to be you could buy. There were no age restrictions on buying a gun. In the past few years, the Biden administration made purchases of ghost guns require the same standards as regular guns, background checks and age. Used to be,
but they can't do a background check if nobody knows.
No,
you acquired it.
To buy. I don't know what requires.
No, you build it yourself.
No, but I think you still may have to have the check for them to send you the parts. I mean, if you can build it yourself, for sure.
Build it yourself.
If you have a 3D printer and everything. But where a lot of them came from was people would buy the parts. Not everyone has a 3D printer, and they buy the parts somehow online and then assemble it. And that now requires.
But the fact that you can't do background checks on ghost guns, and
on
there are
all of
lots
them.
and there are lots of them out there.
Right.
Says that background checks are not one of the effective approaches.
Now, I mean, what's very difficult, we've had this discussion on, controlling guns. You can restrict the manufacturing. You can, but it's much more difficult when you can produce it in your basement or, in a.
Or when you can go to a gun show and buy 50 guns and not be checked.
Right. Well,
Background check.
that if you.
And you could go back after the gun show and they have ones every week.
Right, but you could if the laws were changed so that you couldn't sell guns at gun shows. Yeah. How do you change the laws to prevent people from doing their own go? No law can prevent someone from doing a 3D print of a gun. That's the scary thing.
You're right. So,
but so the question on innocence, guilt, insanity will play out over time. But here's a bigger question that you see, the what I think is a rather tasteless reaction to the murder on social media. People saying, I offer my thoughts and prayers, but they're out of network, or they're saying he deserves to get killed, or some other snarky comments about denial or healthcare and how that is justifiable for that guy. So do you think that this whole situation could lead to some positive change in the healthcare industry?
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember or you're aware of the movie where this woman had a child with some illness and she asked for coverage, and the insurance company kept saying, "You're not covered for this. Your son is not covered." And the kid died. And there was no reason why they wouldn't, take care of that. Most advanced countries in the world that have universal coverage pretty much take care of everything because they're not only profit-oriented, they're really in the business of helping their domestic population have better health care results.
Well, that's because if it's affiliated with a government, the governments have other goals and objectives besides just maximizing profit. But
but forget about government. Industry has one goal, according to what's his name?
Milton Friedman.
Milton Friedman, yeah. Which was, he said, corporations have only one duty, one obligation, one reason for being, and that's to maximize profits for their shareholders, which sounds right, but it's so hard-nosed, it's so, without feeling. It's like, what do you mean? The members of the corporations are members of community. Their employees' lives dependent on how they're treated at work, and the various satisfying at least their basic needs.
But what do you think either United Healthcare specifically or other health insurers in more general will do differently going forward as a result of this event last week?
Well, if they kill a few more of the chief executives, they might change the laws. What do you can't look. Every time I've had an insurance, almost universally, the first call I make, "Don't worry," my agent says, "you'll be paid in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc." And then as I go through it, I'm not paid in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. One case I had with the Hartford, my insurance agent said, $7 million was robbed from one of my accounts at the firm by one of the brokers. And he said, it's an open and shut case. You'll be paid in 3-4 weeks. 7 years later, I got paid
Well, that's it.
the exact amount that I was supposed to be paid.
Deny, delay, defend.
But at that time, interest rates were 18%. So during that 7 years, they earned more than the
Right.
total that
That
they
was
had.
the delay part.
Yeah.
First they denied it, then they delayed it,
So
and then they defended it.
I think we're the only wealthy country that focuses on, we're like.
But what
For us,
what are they going to? What will this cause them to do differently? See, I don't think anything's going to change,
it could make
except for more security on the CEO's part of the large company.
You can't deny, what do you call it? You can't deny
What?
coverage just by saying you're not covered.
But they don't say you're deny. They never deny your cover just by saying it. They always have a reason.
The reason is we don't cover that. Your policy doesn't cover that. That's what they say. That's what every time I made a claim, they say you're not covered for that. So I have.
But what's going to? So they're just going to stop doing that? You think tomorrow they're going to just stop doing that? Why? Because the CEO got killed?
Yeah, if a few more would get killed. So. Yeah,
I don't think so.
You don't think that matters?
I don't think corporate policy will change except for increasing security for the lives of the senior people at the company. Well, but I don't think the policy of the company is going to change because of a crazy person killed the CEO.
Some companies will change their policy.
I think
they'll realize that it's not
all because someone got killed.
All because their lives are in danger. Yes.
I don't think so, because they won't be if they have more security.
You don't even have to have a lot. One more gets killed for that reason.
And then you think they're going to start changing policy on coverage?
Yes.
I doubt it.
Every other country, you're covered.
They're still more concerned with the profits and the share.
I know.
And the shares
I agree with you.
Than they are with,
Well, because nobody's.
And they'll just get more security. That's all. That I do believe will happen. I think their board.
There's no such thing as more security. I told you what happened with the guy I worked with, Lindsay. Did I tell you the story? I worked with a guy at Loeb Roads. He was one of the top guys in the research department. So he was from a very wealthy family in New Hampshire. His father owned every steel mill in New Hampshire. Not steel mill, textile mill. Everybody in the town where he was, almost all of New Hampshire, worked for him, was housed by him, was provided salary and food by him, such that he had like an island. It was so powerful that he had the right to the bride on a honeymoon night before the groom. And that's the way his father was, he said. Just so powerful. Then Lindbergh, I don't know if you remember Lindbergh.
Charles Lindbergh?
Well, Charles Lindbergh.
Yeah.
He was a very pro-Hitler fascist, but he broke a lot of records. First man fly
across the Atlantic. Yep.
So his daughter was kidnapped, and they were asking for ransom, and I guess he didn't do it timely enough or whatever. So they killed the daughter. So it was a big national scandal because this guy was like in all the front pages. So when that happened, he says, my father hired round the clock, you know the story? Around the clock, security guards for me and my sister, my younger sister, 24/7. One day, one of the guards that was watching him was cleaning his gun, and he didn't realize that it had bullets in it. The bullet went off and shot the little girl through the head. He says after that, his mother wound up in a mental institution, and his father, who was such a successful, effective businessman, wound up a major alcoholic. So it's just goes to,
Well,
there's no security.
I hope you're not right for this reason. If
I hope I'm not right.
If
No, I hope I'm right that they change.
No, I hope they don't change because of this reason. Because if United Healthcare changes its policies because of what happened,
Yeah.
then that is just going to encourage all other crazy people to start killing CEOs because they don't like the policy of the company. Like, I don't like that General Foods adds red dye to their cookies. So I'm going to kill this, people are going to say, well, now they're going to go out and kill the CEO of General Foods because they don't like the policy of putting chemicals in the foods.
Well, it depends.
And it worked at United Healthcare, so maybe it'll work here. And then people just start killing everyone if they don't like what they hear.
No, if there's enough consequences visible to the public, then it would change.
But then all it does is it provides a rationale and a justification for that type of behavior to affect change. I don't think in a civilized society that's how we should affect change.
The United States is the only advanced country that still puts all these poisons into breakfast cereals.
I don't disagree.
Because it helps get more to the kids.
What RFK wants to do with those types of chemicals, I agree with 100%. The red dye should be taken out of cereals and out of candies and gummy bears and cough medicines and all this stuff. It's terrible. Do
some radical
but
things.
I don't think killing the head of the company to make that point is the way to do it.
Some radical things often.
Well, I think it's through election and government and not.
Yeah, but you're in favor of wars. Why is wars more?
Okay, so now that's a good transition to the next topic.
The war against poisons in foods is at least as important as any other war we're fighting.
So that's a good transition to the next topic, which is what we saw happen this week in Syria, the collapse of the al-Assad regime. So first, the big question, what do you think's next for Syria and specifically that area of the world, given this fall? Who are the winners and losers? And what do you think we're going to see coming out of this?
I believe or I hope, more hope than belief, that it will be beneficial to Israel because it'll limit Iran's ability to deliver all the weapons and arms and bombs.
Just geographically alone, they can't get through to Lebanon through Syria.
So I think it has good possibilities. It has negatives to it, If the guy who takes it over turns out to be as bad or worse than the guy who left, we don't know. But he said all the right things. He said we have no enemies. We even appreciate what Israel's done because it's taken away Hezbollah, the route to Hezbollah to get weapons through Syria. So it sounds good. And he said it includes Israel in the statement. Whether he lives up to that.
Right.
So we don't know.
They did come out of ISIS. They did come out of ISIS. He did say, Syria is an Islamic state. So, and I think up until now, there was a bounty on his head by the U.S.
Yeah, still is 10 million.
That doesn't mean much because the U.S. supports different crazy people over the years. So,
yeah, we don't know. It's too early to tell.
Yeah.
Saying one thing and seeing what they carry out. But to me, I'm optimistic that it's.
He does seem to have, at least what it appears, is, the rank and file support. When al-Assad left, there seemed to be a lot of jubilation that he left. And there was, his Al-Assad's supporters were all his inside guys who also disappeared. I think unlike what we did in Iraq, where after we got rid of Saddam Hussein, we also kicked out all the people in the government that were Saddam Hussein people, and that created a huge problem in the country. Here, I don't know if there's a similar, like, internal group that's against this new sort of government. And it doesn't seem like, there's a rebel faction to the rebels, that they got rid of the bad guy and now they're kind of running the place. There doesn't seem to be a group that's against those guys. They all, at least initially, seem to be, on the same page. So now let's talk about where the U.S. can fit in, and what the U.S. and also what Israel should do and actually has started to do. So over the weekend, that the U.S. Central Command announced that it carried out more than 75 strikes at suspected ISIS camps inside Syria and operatives inside central Syria. Right before that, Donald Trump posted on his social media network, "This is not our fight. Let it play out. Don't get involved." So do you think that the U.S. should have made those 75 airstrikes at ISIS camps, or just stayed out and done nothing?
The U.S. did what? They made strikes.
They bombed 75
when?
Camps over the weekend.
Did they?
Yeah. I mean, Trump had said, "Stay out of the war. Don't get involved." I don't agree with that. I think this is an opportunity to.
I agree with that.
So do you think you got ISIS camps in Syria that are weakened because of this, what's going on? You don't take that opportunity to put them out of business?
I don't think, till you see.
They're ISIS camps. No, they're ISIS. They're terrorist camps. Why not bomb them when you can?
What the guy says is,
Israel sank the Syrian Navy. Do you think that was a good idea?
Yes.
I do too. Why? Because it's an opportunity to take.
Israel's involved and the United States is not involved.
ISIS, yes, we are in the fight against ISIS. We should do whatever we can to put down ISIS, and if that means bombing some camps in Syria, we should do that, because that benefits the whole world.
You're assuming that the guy who took over is ISIS. I mean,
no, I'm not.
That's what you just said.
No, I didn't. What I said was the U.S. bombed 75 known ISIS camps in Syria.
Good.
So I think that was a good move.
Yeah, but I don't think we should get further involved.
I'm not talking about further involved. I'm talking about the 75 bombings.
Yes, it helped overthrow, what's his name? Asher, what's his name?
Al-Assad. But they did that as he was being overthrown.
But he wasn't overthrown.
He might have actually already left, but that's not really the point. The point is, here's an opportunity to do something.
That we should stay the hell out of wars, to the largest extent we can. If we're attacked, I think we should react, but I don't believe we should use this thing, peace through strength. It's just the opposite. I don't think it's
peace through strength. I think it's taking an opportunity to destroy some
through its strength,
which is a limited opening, because it's when your enemies are all down and out. That's when you take advantage and you finish the job. No, you don't wait for you don't wait for ISIS
diplomatic work out friendships for the rest of the world. It's enough already.
For the same reason that I think destroying the Syrian Navy was a smart move.
because
they had the opportunity to do it. It was also like a limited opportunity because of this complete chaos going on in the country. You seize the opportunity when you have the opportunity.
Israel knows Yemen and Syria have been attacking them.
So has ISIS been attacking U.S. interests around the globe?
I have no idea.
Sure, they have. That's why we were always going after and trying to put down ISIS.
ISIS has been quiet for years now.
Oh, but here's ISIS camps in Syria. So I think it was the right thing to do to blow them up.
I don't think we should look for opportunities to start more battles and more.
Who is they starting a battle with? ISIS?
Yeah. If there's peace, let it rest.
There's not peace. ISIS is constantly going after U.S. assets.
Was there any attacks by ISIS in recent years? I don't remember.
All the time. And they're always attacking U.S. interests.
I haven't seen. I thought ISIS was pretty much defeated.
Not if there's 75 camps in Syria.
Yes, so if we identified
they did.
It's a threat to the U.S.
It was.
Sure, good.
So we agree.
Yeah, but I'm saying we don't agree to the extent I say, to the largest extent possible, we should avoid creating more enemies.
I don't disagree with that, but that's not what we're talking about.
No, but we do. China's an enemy, and Taiwan. Where do we come off with Taiwan? We have no, it's where we're reaching out way beyond our shores. The Monroe Doctrine was smart. You can look. The proof is in the pudding. We've been in more wars than any other country in the world since the end of the Second World War, without any tangible benefits. Not in Vietnam, not in Korea. Korea, we don't even have a peace agreement yet from that war. Not in Afghanistan, where we accomplished nothing, considering the enormous blood and treasure. They're not letting their women go to school. We're back to square one.
Yep.
What did we accomplish? And the Arab Spring, what we said, we're going to turn them all into democracies. You can't do that. You can't change culture in a brief period. It's got to evolve.
Don't disagree.
Really? How did that happen?
on that front, but in terms of taking out an enemy when you have a strategic window to do it, it's time. Just like Israel is now.
Our difference is who we identify as enemy.
I say ISIS is the enemy.
I don't think China's an enemy.
I never said they were.
No, but I'm saying we choose to say enemy, and then we get our military wound up. Generals like wars because that's when they get promotions. That's when they're the leaders. So different goals for different elements, and the politicians shouldn't be on the same place as the generals, who have a different objective, their careers depend on engaging in military operations. If everything's quiet, they don't have such a big role. Eisenhower wouldn't have been president and if he wasn't involved in the Second World War.
That's true.
It's just a different approach to life and to the world. We shouldn't be out looking for new enemies. Or we should all agree that there's enemies on Mars or in some far-out planet and work together so we're on the same side. It's what did they say? Peace through strength, and through strength you have more venturesome, more willing to go forth and get into fights and try to run things. That's not the role of a country like the United States, where supposedly we make the biggest thing that they were the greatest country, we're in favor of peace. Step forward.
No. Okay, so let's come back from.
How's that, Lord?
Let's come back from overseas back to the U.S. and talk about an interview that Donald Trump had with on Meet the Press, and some of the things that he was asked and some of the things that he said. So one of the things they discussed was his thought on January on the January 6th situation, and Trump said that the January 6th members, so that would be people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, should go to jail. I think that those members of Congress who were on the January 6th committee, should they go to jail?
No, I kind of agree with the sentiment that one leading politician years ago said we should put bars all around Washington, all around the Congress, the Senate, and leave out those few that can prove they're innocent. In other words, they're guilty till they prove they're innocent.
I mean, it's obviously being part of a congressional investigation committee is not a crime.
They can't do anything.
It's a little unnerving to hear the president-elect saying that people who were involved in something.
There's nothing they did.
He doesn't say. He says he would disagree with that.
He could disagree, but the Constitution doesn't support that view. If you're fulfilling your job in Congress,
that's what you say.
Can't be.
But his DOJ might say that it was a treasonous act, or it was.
What was treasonous about investigating?
Yeah, it's
investigating is not a treason.
Or what their findings were, how it's untrue.
If they find out
it was untrue, it's misleading to the American people. I mean,
if they have findings,
the DOJ that wants to, they could come up with a bunch of different charges.
If they have findings, they could do it. But to give them anticipated, preemptive. That implies I wouldn't even take it, because it says that implies you did something wrong.
Or it implies that you don't know what kinds of charges could be brought to you, or you could be you yourself said the president could arrest the Supreme Court. He could arrest the
You could wind up spending a fortune for lawyers and other things.
Ultimately to be acquitted, or not even to be acquitted.
No, but the other side is even worse. He's saying release all the guys.
So should you pardon the January 6th defendants? Should you pardon them?
Including, how many of them? 90 of them that confessed.
Right, they pled guilty. Yes.
Pleaded guilty. Yep. And a bunch of others that said they would do it over again. Yep. That's, to me, outrageous. On what basis?
Well, they were patriots. Peaceful protests, and they were patriots.
Well, I don't agree with that.
I mean, what was interesting I found about that interview was a much more subdued and conciliatory Donald Trump. He has said over and over that he wanted Jack Smith, if he wasn't fired, I would fire him on day one, and then he should go to jail too, for the corruption and mishandling of justice, whatever. And
Trump is right. If everybody was in jail, there wouldn't be any more crime.
Yeah. So when Kristen Welker asked him about that, would you instruct?
Who asked him? Welker?
Kristen Welker's the head run Meet the Press, the woman who interviews.
The woman?
Yeah, Kristen Welker replaced.
She's good.
Yeah. She replaced Chuck Todd. So would you instruct your AG to go after Jack Smith?
Go after everybody.
Which over the campaign, he said Trump has said yes, he would want his DOJ to bring justice against people like Jack Smith. Interestingly, Trump said no, he wouldn't do that. He would allow, assuming Pam Bondi becomes the AG, he would allow her to decide,
right.
Which, I mean, is the right answer.
Sounds good.
But I mean, it's not, like, who is it? It wasn't the Donald Trump that I've heard on the campaign trail.
But he's also not realizing the pressure.
Of course, if he says, I think there's something there. Right. You think that's not a subtle hint?
Yeah. or I'd like it invested.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
So that was just something that you don't hear a lot. And then the other thing I found surprising was she was asking him about his thoughts and plans on deporting undocumented migrants, illegal immigrants. And he said, yes, we're still gonna, you have to deport everyone who's here illegally. And then the question of the dreamers, kids who've been here basically their whole lives, who came with illegal parents or maybe were born here and can't even speak the language of wherever they came from. Yeah. What do you do with them? They're now adults. Do you deport them? And on the campaign, Trump was pretty staunch when he said, yes, you got to, they're here.
Yeah, and also the guy who's appointed is rough and tough as anybody.
But in the interview, he said, well, I'd be open to working out a plan with the Democrats to handle the dreamers, which...
Dacha.
Yeah. Which was, again, a surprising comment, given the very hard line that you heard during the campaign.
It's become seemingly much
right.
more...
That's why I said that was my takeaway surprises from that interview was like, this is like a much more calm down
ways, because he
Donald Trump.
He didn't change his statement on day one, and she asked him over and over. I mean, on day one you do all that? Yeah,
deporting?
On day one. On day one, get her.
I mean, he does say he's going to start with criminals, which I think is the right move.
That's bullshit, because how do you find out who's criminals? You think they present their papers with their criminal records?
Well, when someone applies for asylum, they can find out if they have a criminal record.
When they come over the fence, they're not applying for anything.
Right, but that's why you have to. I'm
saying it's nonsense. It's as if that's, the guy's got the sign on them. I'm a criminal. I'm a thief.
No, but when you
but we don't have that information. I agree with that. If we find out a guy's a criminal and a murderer, and this, by all means.
And anyone who's committed any crime here immediately gets deported, which I don't know what happened. I don't think people who are committing crimes are necessarily immediately deported, or if they're just detained in the system while they're pending their asylum hearing. But those people should immediately be.
Is anybody speaking in favor of importing immigrants?
Importing immigrants?
Yes, he wants to export all immigrants. Is anybody speaking up for importing? They play a major role in the economy. You talk about inflation, you wouldn't have farm production, you wouldn't have people at the slaughterhouses that Americans don't want to work in. We wouldn't have a lot of people on construction jobs. You know, it's not black or white the way these politicians make it. You know,
That's true.
I'm angry at a lot of the African American leaderships that are so anti-Israel and anti-Jew, despite the fact that the Jews were the leading people fighting for them during the civil rights wars and the racist wars. There were 2 Jewish guys and 1 black guy that were killed in the march. Forget their name. I used to know their names. 2 Jewish guys that were killed. So, and the Jewish lawyers were the ones that founded the NAACP. It's so unbelievable. Why are you angry at us? We haven't done anything for you lately. But they say you always bite the hand that feeds you.
Okay, so thanks for the conversation, Morty. We will
Thanks for not being so hard on me today. I really appreciate it.
Feels always next week.
Thank you. I don't know if I'll have you back after this. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being with me this week. I love you. I wish you all the happiest days, the happiest lives, the happiest everythings. And see if you can at least pick up some of these suggestions that I make that for sure will add to your happiness. And also, as you add to the happiness of those around you, the people you love, your kids, your friends, and in general, people in the public. If you do good deeds, there's nothing more fulfilling. The best money I ever made and ever kept for a while was the money that I've given away for charity, for kids that are starving, for hospitals, for learning institutions. I get more gratification from that than any other successes I've ever had, including making tons of money. So I wish you all make fortunes, I mean, like Jews are crazy people, because every Jewish guy, you go down to Boca Raton, they all tell you about their yachts. They say, my yacht sleeps 12, my yacht sleeps 18, my yacht. Not one of those yachts has ever left short. And every one of them says, my doctor's the best, my doctor's the greatest. Oh yeah, my doctor's so fabulous. You can't get an appointment for 3 months. Said, you think your doctor's great? My doctor you can't get for 9 months, almost a year. The last guy said, my doctor's so great, nobody ever got an appointment with him yet. So, and there's nobody more belligerent than Jews who are always fighting with each other, arguing with each other.
That's not true.
But we never, you never hear Jews killing each other. With words, yes. With anger, maybe, but never with violence, unless maybe it's their wives. Anyway, God bless you. I look forward to being with you again a week from tonight. And in the meantime, I hope every day of your life is better than the day before. God bless you. I love you. You and all your loved ones. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful month, a wonderful year, and a wonderful life in good health. God bless you. Bye.